players to communicate and with each other, since they didn't represent themselves, but an imaginary role who shares the same goal with everyone. The process described previously is a way to enable participatory design through the role playing. And the main goal is to create a library and the toolkit of assets that are important for users, and they can identify and locate them in the space, no matter what are the specific memories. And here you can see some of the proposals about the environment and how people can choose from a square possible locations where they can actually put and create their own space. That was very complex, and we were trying to figure out how this would be easier for people to manufacture them. So an open library of equipment can be created that is easy to position in a variety of spatial settings, and the users want to redesign using this platform. I mean, something like that. That was what we had in mind when we actually did the research. And the objects proposed for the library of the game are a result of the creative process in which the participants were involved in the previous stage. And moreover, through the narration, participants actively contributed in the formation of the online game, and the research suggest. Through this process, the main components of the video game have been selected, and it is like it was. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I want to go back here, and they helped us organize the priorities of what the person and a user of this application will actually take into consideration, such as the weather or the urban equipment and lighting, where they want to activate some specific action in the public space. And in order to understand the process and to help people realize the form of this platform, we did two different experiments. With this one where actually the video is actually playing right now, where we created a board that has a conductive pane which allows light to create light, and in that piece of plexiglass we created some paths in a public space, and with the light we create a game with the users, and we ask them to pin the light in the area they wanted to activate. So it was based on the reaction among the players and the platform and us. And the second experiment, it took place on our research, was this model here, which was actually scale up from the previous, where people can touch and see now in the virtual world their observations and the specific points they had interested in. That was more oriented to give people the chance to understand that they're also creators of the environment they're going to use in order to create public space. And now it is important to actually mention the very, very important role that maker spaces have in our research, because the equipment that we suggest to create in order to recreate public space. They are going to be manufactured in maker spaces such as the one you have in Serafio at this moment. I think Adonis would like to.
Yes. So what Anastasia what the proposal of Anastasia showed is that we also have to have the physical means to manufacture the ideas which we propose in the virtual space. So as to reconnect the virtual and the physical. And such means of productions are proliferated through the use of makerspaces like the one in Serafio. And the idea is that these open public facilities, in connection with the online platform and the common library of design concepts as created by the users, can allow stakeholders, whether that be the community or whether it be organizations and so forth, to communicate their vision of public spaces to designers and other specialists, or to those that take those decisions in a succinct and immediate fashion on one hand, and on the other hand, be able to physically produce those designs in a do-it-yourself and open source manner. And that's how the maker culture can empower the collective urban design process.
Okay, and now we're actually we're going to end soon, so you can speak too. Sorry if we took your time. We took more time for this presentation, and here we're actually trying to emphasize on why it is necessary to invest on those kind of researches, because users have the ability to enrich the existing library. They can change the position of the objects in the virtual space, and through the easy way to manufacture them in maker spaces, they can see the impact of their suggestions in real life, and they will be able to actually maintain this and create their ideas in a bigger scale, if that is possible. And for that reason, we suggest that we can use open and free software programs. And we think that game engines that are a very important part of this process are going to help very much people to understand how they can how the place that their design is going to look like after their suggestions, and be more and they will be more they will have better understanding of what they are actually suggest, because of the different environment and the changes of the weather, since they through the game this is possible to happen. And also the suggestion can also be considered as an innovative tool for architects and designers, since they can locate specific areas in the urban environment, which are actually attractive for people to use, and so they can actually design something with them and co-create the urban space. And this is the last slide. We're not going to talk anymore. This was a case study. We actually tried to see if that idea actually, how would that idea work. And we created a module which is based on the morphology of a waffle structure fabrication method. It is very common in digital fabrication techniques. And we actually proposed that this one would be easier for the users to manufacture it through the maker spaces, as we said before, and they could co-create the public space with different types of this module. And it is an idea that we're still trying to see how it actually affects public space and how it can scale up, and if we have other possible techniques in digital fabrication that would be easy for users to do so. So we are done here. I don't know if Adonis would like to.
No, I think thank you for your.
Thank you, Antonis and Anastasia. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. So for the people joining us on this online and live conference session, welcome to everyone. I think we're 11. So maybe if you got some questions to address, of course, to Anastasia and Adonis, I think we're gonna have time for questions, answers, and after that for a small discussion. So you can address your questions in the chat or directly. There is a QA button, Canonica, so you can address your questions here. I'm just waiting for the other speakers of the session, which are Tatiana and Burcu. Tatiana and Burcu, are you with us or no? Because I can't find your name in the attendees, but I can see that a panelist called Ariana Bazzaro is with us. Ariana, at least, can
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello, nice to meet you. I am Manfredi. Ariana, she's coming now. We're together. Good morning, everybody, first of all.
Kalimera, good morning.
We are here if you want to step ahead. I don't know which are the plans after.
Are you a speaker for this session?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we are together. We are 3 speakers. I will speak, but we are 3 actually.
For the Sweden case. Or
no,
not?
we'll talk about the North Macedonia project.
Okay, I didn't have it on my session plan, but that's fine.
It's
because
11. We are at 11 actually.
Ah.
We joined
Okay.
early to.
So I think this is the next session,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay. Okay, everything in order. So yeah, we were waiting for Tatiana and Burcu, but I think they're not in among the attendees. So because you're here, it's perfect, and you have your camera open. If the attendees also want to have their camera open, just send me a message and I will let you join us, because we're not a lot of us, so we can have our camera on and talk. So does everyone has a question addressed directly to Anastasia and Adonis after their speech? Yes, we got one question. No, it was technical stuff. Okay, so I will begin with my question. Maybe to try to understand more what you presented, for me would be okay, because I got the theoretical approach, but also with a case study, let's say. Do you have the occasion to experiment your platform in different places, in one places, because you talked for different participants from different countries, even from Paris?
Okay.
So that was my question. Did you have the occasion to experiment in some really located places, let's say these digital tools and platform?
No, actually, when I did the experiments, people were from different ages. All the experiments were conducted in Athens, but the participants, for example, I remember 3 or 4 of them, they spent the period of their life in Paris, in Copenhagen, and different countries. So for that reason, the public spaces they felt more comfortable to talk about was some of them. So that's why we saw that the two of the fell up somewhere, and yeah, and other they were like a square from their hometown, from a village in Greece, for example. It was more linked to their feeling and the attachment they had with public space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
can't see any other questions, so I go on. Did you do this experiment on your own? I mean, the two of you, or are you part of a larger project involving other architects, urban planners, or researchers from Greece, or maybe international scale?
No, at this point, we don't, at this point, for this specific research, we don't collaborate with someone else, but we are part of the Transformable and Intelligence Environments Laboratory from Crete, which actually has a very big scale of people and researchers in his team, such as me and Antonis, and actually, we both, me and Antonis, we work for the Athens Municipal Makerspace. We are directors there. So some of the experiments were conducted through the lessons and the process where people actually were learning how to design in an open software, and in the same time they were actually trying to do that referring the public space. So it was an experiment, and we used all the possible tools we were able to do. And no, we didn't have a bigger team. We were just us.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe if Evangelia, Ioannis, Izurika, and Stelina, if you got some questions, feel free to address them to Adonis and Anastasia. A small summary of the situation. We only have one speaker for this panel because the other two didn't appear. So we can take it as a chance to discuss a little bit with Adonis and Anastasia that are with us this morning. So Ioannis, Evangelia, Isurika, Stelina, feel free to address a question if you want. I see there is one hand up.
Yes.
From Ioannis. Ioannis, we can...
I can't see.
Can you talk or maybe write down in a chat? Because I can see your virtual hand, but I cannot see you. Miss Olepto, I will promote you as a panelist, maybe. So
I wonder if there is any experience in makerspace for children up to 6 years old. If the speaker, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but
Yeah.
we're actually.
If you have any experience for a makerspace for children up to 6 years old, that means for very, very, very young children, or if you have any idea how that will work and how children in that age can participate in projects.
Okay, I would like to make to explain you how this makerspace work. Athens Municipal Makerspace Εργαστήριο Ποιο, it is called. You can find it on Facebook.
I know. I've seen and I have experience of makerspace, so I know the place as well.
You know
a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, so our partners from the Έτσι Μαθαίνω Καλύτερα project, I don't know if you heard this before, they have more experience about the STEM education. I don't know if Adonis would like to add something on that, but we we have only created one STEM library in a high school in Kolonos, and we have some experience from that. We don't usually interact with children of that age through the makerspace, such as we don't teach them softwares or how to use the equipment, but we have open days and STEM actions to give children the chance to understand technology. I don't know if Adonis would like to add some.
Just to elaborate on what I said, if I understand the question, it's what is the experience or what is the methodology for introducing making culture and makerspaces to young ages, before 6, if I heard correctly?
Yes, more or less. Yeah.
More or less. So we are talking about preschool education and let's say kindergarten and stuff like that.
Yes.
So as Anastasia said, that is a separate, by definition, a separate part from how you would approach making to adults. And the program Design for Better Learning, which is also part of the Technical University of Crete team in Athens, is more focused on that part. Regardless of that, and as a general theoretical note, the evolution of technology and the accessibility and the fact that the younger generations are more acquainted with all these means that it's unavoidable at some to a certain extent that younger ages should get involved with such a culture. And if it's done in a framework of an open public common space where children can learn how to use digital tools and digital manufacturing technology and learn to interact with their peers of the same age, I think it's a promising direction in which making and makerspaces and collaborative bottom-up design processes can be taken, and education. I don't know if we've answered.
I think in certain extent I got an answer, and I very much appreciate the way you answered my question, because I have the feeling that the children that age, they will be very eager, and also their parents are very willing to address those things in that age, because that kind of children can absorb very easy and very enthusiastically, and the environment helps them to develop things later. So that is why I'm interested, because I know that we don't have any experience on that area in Greece, at least. I know abroad, in Denmark probably, but not in Greece. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
I'm
you.
super sorry. I was late because I thought
Oh.
that the same time zone. I'm sorry. I thought it was at 10 this time. I'm so sorry. I just saw it now.
I was looking for you, Tatiana, in Athens, online, everywhere. So
I'm
really...
so sorry. I was here like I guess I'm from the US, so I thought that Athens and Sweden were the same time zone. And
No,
that's what
Sweden is not the center of the world, as well as Spain, because I say that with as a joke, because we had the same problem yesterday with the guy joining us from Spain, and he thought, okay, with the delay. And yeah, maybe we should specify the clock, because I know this type of problem, because I'm from Paris as well. So welcome. Okay,
Thank
I'm really
you.
happy
Sorry about
that
that.
you finally joined us. So Adonis and Anastasia did their presentation at first. You can see them maybe because they put their camera.
Okay.
And so, okay, we got some time. So we don't have
I can do my presentation if you want.
Of course. And we will listening to you just now,
Sorry
if you're
about
ready.
that. Yeah, if you want to, if anyone wants to
problem.
send me their presentation, I would love to take a look at it, because we're working in the same field in totally different context. So
it's not
yeah.
a big deal, because we got some time. So okay. Don't be in rush. If you got 10 minutes, if you speak 12 minutes, it's okay. So feel free. Okay.
Yeah. I will share my screen. Okay. let's, oh, not share, present. Great, you can see it, correct?
Perfectly.
Great. Okay. Well, my name is Tatiana Bodnar. I am from the US, but I study at Cathedral Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden. And this is my thesis, Playing with the Possible, Co-producing the Right to the City from the Bottom Up. So this is my context. This is Lapis. It's the largest student housing complex in all of Sweden. As you can see, it has a very similar form to each other, and there's around 2,000 students, and now they're actually building more houses kind of close to the water. So there'll be almost 3,000 students that live here, and a lot of it is communally spaces. So there's a workshop, there is like a multi-purpose space, there's a sauna, which happens a lot in Sweden. There's actually 2 or 3 saunas. So yeah, it's a very communal place, and very common space. And this, under neoliberal urban governance, this is kind of a stark difference. We can see that cities are becoming increasingly unequal, privatized, and exclusionary. And these images are incredibly stark compared to the image I showed you before, but you may be asking, really, what does this have to do with Lapis? And enter the paddle court. So the paddle court is a new development that I can actually just stare out of my window and look at. So this is a new development that happened in 2021. And pretty much, it's a paddle court. I don't know if you guys know what paddle is. It's a sport that is becoming increasingly popular in Sweden right now. It's very popular in Spain and other places. And it's kind of like tennis, but a bit different format. So a lot of people were a bit upset at the paddle court because they felt that there wasn't much dialogue process at all. And this was, the most interesting part was this was kind of the best barbecue spot in all of Lapis. And what was most interesting too is like, well, I guess in Sweden as well, maybe in Athens, sun really isn't so much of a commodity, but in Sweden, especially in the summer, you really need to love the sun. So you can still get sun there at 9 or 10 p.m. So that's like a really important part of why it felt like, especially on this space, that it was kind of unwarranted and a bit. So this is a meme that someone made about about this kind of controversy. And so Almquist says a common feature of cities of today are the redevelopment of public spaces that increasingly insist on productivity, like outdoor gyms, and monetary interest. Oh, and another thing too is the paddle court costs 200 crowns an hour, so around 20 euros an hour. Yeah, it kind of became a commodified space. And in this case, it actually became both insist on productivity and monetary. So what can we do about it? So I'm Tatiana Bodnar. I study sustainable urban planning and design. And I worked with my thesis partner. Her name is Nicole Arthur. She studies integrated product design and service design. And we came together, we wanted to create Fluke. Fluke means like, it's kind of a word similar to serendipity, but it means like an unlikely chance occurrence, especially a surprising piece of luck. And it's mostly used with games and things of this manner. So what Fluke looks to do is we use participatory action research to work alongside the community to explore how we can create a more active, engaging, and playful approach to city building from the bottom up. So our aim in research questions, the aim is to offer an exploratory and critical approach to the co-creation of public spaces from the bottom up. And we use Lapis as our case study, and Fluke aims to play with different methods that allow residents to reimagine and co-create their neighborhood. And this is more specifically, I look at how co-production enables citizens to articulate their right to the city. And I look specifically at play, co-design, and scale. And what's interesting too, Nicole also wrote a thesis, but she wrote it from the product design angle. So yeah, you can kind of see this very interdisciplinary kind of work. So this is my theory that I'm using. I use the right to the city, all looking at this right to be an active citizen within the production of the city and not only like a consumer of the city or this passive citizen, as Lefebvre argues. And it really involves this right to participation and the right to appropriate. And then we also use play. Play is really important for us, and we look at Johan Huizinga. He argues that play is this freestanding activity quite consciously out of ordinary life as being not serious, but at the same time absorbing the player intensely and utterly. It has no material interest and no profit can be gained by it. And he argues that play is the genesis of culture, not the other way around, and it's a facet of everyday life that is usually overlooked. It's not overlooked for children. A lot of when we talk about play, it's always kind of geared at children, but we were very specific of students and older people to get them to play. And then co-design. So co-design, just from this public space perspective, it's when you facilitate processes or interventions in which participants work together to imagine and improvise possible future social material configurations. So there's 3 steps that Month, Cass, and Hoffman denote, which is sensitivity, staging, and then mobilizing all of these different stages or these different ideas towards something real. And methodology and research, we use participatory action research with Fluke. In Lapis too, or maybe let's say in Sweden in general, COVID is much differently approached. So we still did it very, always outside and always very distant, but in Sweden, everything was always still open, which is very different from other places. So just keep that in mind that it may look a bit odd if it were placed somewhere else. And then the semi-structured interviews and then open-ended survey to see what people felt about the participatory action research. And then we worked with a lot of different people. We worked with our tenant association, which is, they have all of these multi-purpose spaces and they have a lot of money too, which is kind of important. We worked with artists too, this In Memoriam in Futurum cluster. We worked with a few artists that are interested in public space. And then we worked with these co-creation process developers. This is a really interesting tool called the Plato placemaking tool, and it pretty much just allows for decentralized placemaking. And it allows for people like co-budgeting essentially. And it's being developed maybe 5K from here. So we got to know these people and kind of tested their tool out with them. And then COVID-19 and just PAR. And then doing PAR, our co-design process. So first we just decided to go out into the middle of Lapis and ask a bunch of different questions, like what's the biggest problem, where did people like, things of this matter, and just kind of just trying to see what people felt and just like organizing, a lot of thoughts. And we didn't really plan when we would go out, so that people that were very, really wanted to speak to us, they really couldn't plan when we would be there. And then the next stage, we did a place analysis Easter egg hunt. So this is to pretty much try and get a lot of people interested, and Easter was coming up. So we had a lot of different eggs. So you can see this one in the middle. You said, you found the egg for Fluke's place where you feel at home. Come next to the Ika's bus stop. So when you would come and find this egg, you would get one of these little pins, which kind of looks like, it was supposed to look like a Google Map pin. So then you would have to go find your place where you feel at home and place it. So then a lot of people, this one got around 100 people interested in the community, and people were getting kind of like really crazy, like, oh, when's the Easter egg hunt started? And it got people really engaged. So this is kind of the outcome of it. We put it all on Google Maps. And as you can see, some people kind of just wanted like, we gave them a little prize of like a fico, which is just like a coffee, and it's a very Swedish kind of thing, but like a kanelbulle, like a cinnamon bun. And but some people, you can see the paddle court, they removed the best spots for barbecue without asking Lapis people. And then this one, this undiscovered place, this were people that they got really engaged. They walked around for an hour to try and find this place. And they found this place that it's looking over a lake, which I've never even been there myself. And Lapis really is not that big. So it was quite interesting that people really got very much into it. And then we did this vision walk. So this was, we tried to do, her name's Lily Higgins. She does these things called play walks in Rotterdam. We tried to really encompass that. And we got like 6 very playful people to kind of walk around the neighborhood and do all of these fun little games. And then, come together to, explore the now of Lapis. And then we wanted them to kind of envision, what would this wow Lapis, what would this idealistic state be? So this is this multi-purpose space. And they created this wow Lapis, which was kind of our vision as this participatory, social, artistic, resident-run, creative, communicative, and colorful. And then we played a little games, like this is scenario mapping twister to try and get possible futures and things like that. But as you can see, our games are very very analog and very easy to craft. And then we showcased this is what we worked with the artists. We kind of showcased on the paddle court this ideal vision. And we wanted more people to just become aware of our process and things like that. It's a really long process. then we just wanted to stage different ideas. So we made these things. Nicole can use the product design center. So she made these little plexiglass boards we called fluke boards that anyone could kind of just go around. So we had this wheel that we made with a fidget spinner and a pizza box. So you would get a space and then you would have to go reimagine it. And then that resulted in a lot of different reimaginations, and people would have to upload them onto this platform, this Play-Doh platform. And as you can see, these are just how much they're funded. So this is the participatory budget in part. So then we kind of got people to budget it and see which ones came out. So as you can see, the sharing library didn't get anything, neither did this basketball court, but others got a lot more funding. Then we decided to, okay, how do we actually make it from this just idea to actually doing it? So we just had these co-design and barbecues, and we would just pretty much just get people to kind of really technically, what would we need to make all of this happen? And as you can see if there were synergies between them. And then we also had, we would build them outside. And then we had the mobilizing. This is the final day. In the beginning of our co-design process, we really had no idea what it would be, but then it became aware that it would be this public space festival, but it's all about reimagination. So these are all of the drawing wall, art auction, lapis market, things like Pac-Mania. And this is just the process, kind of how it goes from this idea of this decide to actually working. This guy, he's actually a product designer too. So he was very interested in making this Pac-Man idea, but as you can see, it maybe would not be nice to have a projection onto your window all the time. So we tried to scale it down into something that was much more workable. So here's some of these results. This is the art wall. This one kind of take a life of its own. It was only supposed to be for 2 hours, but it was like maybe for 6 or 7. And then we had chess in a parking spot, which there's a chess organization. They decided to do it there, and they thought it was quite fun. And then, here are some other just reimaginations. And then pretty much what my conclusion is that play creates a space for agonism, especially when you can meet in a more joyous opportunity. People still do argue, and this process of deliberation and conflict was really important for us. But it's not like a tense meeting where, and we weren't even able to have meetings. So this was kind of like an easier way to kind of like lure that out. It also creates this space for encounter, and play events in public can encourage bystanders to join in, take a more active level of public engagement, and can inspire related events. And then as alternative practice. So Stephen says that it is the play of the adults which can lead to the reconsideration in ways of which urban space might stimulate and facilitate unexpected and impractical behavior, and how space can be utilized for escapes from serious meaning and uses, and to critique the normal social order, which is kind of what we were trying to do with this very functional paddle court that really only had one function and was a bit commodified as well. And so this is just, I mapped it out and did like with civic tech researchers, and they say that it's not certain that the best version of democracy is to have everyone incredibly engaged. And we saw that too. Some people were much more like the collaborative involvement. Some people like to only be doing it themselves. And then others were very active, wanted to really build things, while others were just okay with giving their opinion once in a while. So we just mapped out all of these different steps. And then this is just a survey response. It's a great reminder to show that people do actually want to get inspired, take responsibility, and realize their own dreams, and not just consume what is given out. And tangible and local is kind of where you can scale, really see participation, because the larger the scale increases, the more challenging it is for yourself to keep transparent and democratic. And we really saw that too. People need to see their red thread of why I should participate in the end goal. And it's also tangible. They can really, it's not just some vision that stops there. It's like, oh, we're taking this vision to this spatial form. And then experimental utopias are best implemented at this very local and concrete level. And then conclusion, making participation playful allows for a space of encounter, a space for agonism, where we can transform everyday life, creates a more inclusive, engaging participatory process. And it's tangible and local is where we can really see these participatory urban processes at least take hold in the beginning. Maybe when people start to build more trust within their system, then it can be scaled a bit more upward. But I think starting locally is really a good way to go. And then, it's where active citizens come together and they take responsibility and realize their own dreams. So we had 3,000 crowns, which is around 300 euros. And we managed to transform 6 different spaces into 11 new functions. And around 300 people got engaged throughout the whole process. So it was a lot more, I guess, engaging than the participation process for the paddle court, which was kind of our goal. So, yep, it's not ruled by rights and exchange value, but by inhabitants who appropriate their space, make it their own, and use it to meet their own needs. And here's me writing my thesis on the paddle court and using it as my, it is a whiteboard, so we kind of appropriated it for that use. And yep, last, cities are capable of providing something for everybody only because and only when they're created by everybody. I think I probably went over, but yeah, thank you guys so much. And sorry for being late.
Depreazi, oposteme este Elenica. It's never mind. And because we got good surprises this morning, I think we got also Burcu online. I'm really sorry for my accent for your name. I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation, so you will tell us. So I suggest you start your speech for 10 minutes maximum. So we got maybe after that only 10 minutes discussion because we have to finish at 20 past 11, I think, for the next session to be prepared. Okay, thank you, Burcu.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sorry for the pronunciation of your name. You will tell us.
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen now?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Burcu, and sorry again from my side about the delay. There was a kind of time zone problem, but yeah, I will be quick and try to present the participatory project we did in Ankara. And yeah, the project was, the name of my presentation is Rethink Uzunoğulları. Uzunoğulları is the name of the neighborhood that we were dealing with. And a participatory neighborhood design experiment in Ankara. The project was funded by Erasmus Key Action 3 Structured Dialogue, and the host was Middle East Technical University in Ankara, and the partner organization was Vienna University of Technology, and specifically the Interdisciplinary Center for Urban Culture and Public Spaces. I would like to just have a quick look in the context that, yeah, we did this project in Ankara, in a neighborhood that has a really pressures around regarding the urban transformation in a more capitalist sense. So you see here some pictures that how different neighborhoods around it just transformed in recent years, and then it has a really kind of pressure around that this specific neighborhood, which is a neighborhood for workers itself, and which has a really balanced kind of urban and rural and also open and public kind of special organization, has this attack and has this pressure around. So that's why we choose this neighborhood as a site of our project. And the other reason is that the neighborhood is really close to our university campus. So as students, as researchers, we are already in contact with, so we are already users of neighborhood. So even though none of us was living there, like literally, but as we are users, so we know about the space. So that's why as researchers, we can position ourselves in different positionings. And our main questions was, can a participatory design process be practicable in Turkey in this really pressures kind of policies? And then what kind of problems occur if we try to practice this? And can we collaborate and can we promote this collaboration in decision-making processes, and can be disseminated? This was the questions. And then I would skip this very long parts, but yeah, in the end, in order to have a more participatory scenario, we thought we have to just come together as different actors. So we try to reach different types of actors in the field, which is community itself, both different types of inhabitants and also users, and local government actors. All of these actors, by the way, were included throughout the 2 years of the project duration process. So like the local municipality and the representative of the neighborhood, we call it muhtar in Turkish, and then some central government actors like ministries and development agencies, and of course some NGOs and professional chambers who are already active in the site. And what we did basically is to follow a design process. Again, as architects, we start always with looking around, like what is there in the context, and then we try to explore it, and then we question it, and when we try to develop some strategies and then tactics, and then we produce our designs. So we have the same line, actually, line of thought and line of action, but we try to put some new methods and some participatory also tools in it, so that we can cross-check the data with neighborhood always, according to their demands and according to their needs. And also we want to just come together and bring together all of the actors. So we start with making people join in our process, so that we create a kind of neighborhood festival, which I will show you the photos, and then we make people explore their surroundings in a more critical way, like what they really want to do. So we design some workshops and some photo walks, and then we want them to focus on the problem itself. So again, we use other tools. And in the end, we create an urban design game where all of the participants come together and design different scenarios for the neighborhood. So very quickly, this neighborhood has 30,000 residents, most of which are middle and lower middle income people, some students and pensioners, housewives, civil servants, workers. And this is how the neighborhood looks like. It has really nice parks, these low height housing blocks, and there are some really good initiatives, community initiatives that's still going on, as they have urban gardening projects, some projects for students, some projects for children. So this is a nice quality building, that neighborhood that we want to protect, but again, also with different actors, because all of the actors have different scenarios in their minds. So as I said, we start our activities by joining people into it. So we just introduce ourselves to the neighborhood through opening some stands in neighborhood bazaars, like local bazaars, local markets. So we were there like every week, trying to show ourselves and try to get engaged with the people. So that was it. And then we create this neighborhood festival where different people come together, and there we ask some questions to them, like we put these maps, and then we ask, like, what are your favorite places in the neighborhood? What are the most problematic places? And what are the places that you have like unforgettable memories in your minds? And they just pin this, and then we analyze all of this data. And then again, as a kind of a cross-check tool, we did different photo walks in the neighborhood. We have different routes, like here you see in different colors. And then we asked them to, we just brought some kind of cameras, and then we asked them to just shoot really the places they like or they unlike. And they were also talking about why they like this spot or why they don't like, and we were taking notes. So it was really dense. We only host 1 or 2 people in each route to get more deep in data. So that was like also, as I said, cross-checking the data that we already get from Neighborhood Festival. And then we put some fish boards in the neighborhood so that they always go and write or draw what they want. And yeah, after getting all of this data, we, for the first time, in our goal prioritization meeting, we brought all of the actors around the same table in 3 different breakout groups. And we asked them, like, how do you imagine the neighborhood and its surroundings in 5 years, in 20 years? And we received different scenarios and different questions. Then we try to understand what kind of an actor imagines differently, like the neighborhood. So we were like obtaining and collecting all of this data to be a source for our urban design game in the end. Actually, that was the idea. And then with all of this data that we harmonized, we started to prepare our design game. But it's a really hard process because you have to balance the power relations in the community and within the actors, and you have to solve the possible conflicts that happens, and you have to know how to negotiate. And that's why we created 3 different workshops. We organized this with students, urban design students at TU Wien and in Middle East Technical University, to always change and suggest new rules to the game. So we were like co-creating game all together, actually. In the first workshop, we assigned some roles to students, like you can be now the mayor of this city, then you can be now a local, like a resident, a tenant. And then we just prepared some cards that they know their role, and then they started to role play around this table, and then we were asking them, like, do you feel any problem in this process? What kind of new rule you suggest? So in each workshop, we try to prepare our design game in a better way. So in the end, we were, here are some pictures from these preparatory workshops in Vienna and in Ankara. And then in the end, we were almost convinced that we have the rules. And in our very final activity of the project, we come together with more than 40 people in the 3 different groups, where each group contains different actor types, like people from central government, people from local government, and people from community, people from NGOs. First, we just presented them what we have so far regarding what are the demands of this community, what are the problems in this society, whatever. And then we introduced them the rules of the game that we have co-created with the students, so that they know what to do. And the idea was, first of all, to give the first talk to the most oppressed one in the community, which is the tenant. They have almost no rights in the community, like they were just temporary users of it. So where the most powerful was the mayor or the representative from the central government. We told them that they always have to start with the suggestion of the tenant, and then when tenant just plays the game first and suggests his or her first scenario through playing with all of these cards and all of these blocks in front of them, then we started to ask all others if they like this idea or not. They can say like, I like, I don't like, or if so. If they say like, if so, then we said that, okay, tenant, now you have one more chance to resuggest or revise your scenario. Then he or she just started to think again for a couple of minutes, and then we ask again to whole players if they like now. And then they have only 2 choices. Either they have to say yes or no. And yeah, this continues like that. I don't want to go into details, so because we don't have so much time. But in the end, then the players realize that in order to get all of the yeses, they have to negotiate with people, and they have to just play the game according to its rules, which means that they have to take care of others' decisions and others' demands. So it went like that. In some of the tables, we reached a kind of agreement, but in that they negotiated, but some of them they didn't, or they didn't want to. And we were also analyzing these different results and why this happened in with different players. So yeah, in the end, we designed a nice exhibition where we presented this to community, to universities, and some policymakers in the end, and where they also not knocked our doors to ask about the results, which was nice. For example, in some departments from ministry, they told us that they want to implement this in other neighborhoods of Ankara. And also, this also raised some awareness in architecture studios. Like in these 2 or 3 years, most of the architectural and urban design studios, they try to engage with that community more, and they choose this neighborhood as their studio project subjects. And also we thought that we created somehow a mutual sharing of experience and knowledge between community and different actors in this 2.5 years of a really dense process. Also, it created awareness in the neighborhood that they can have a say, have a right, information of their environment that they live in. So these are the main results that we have after the project. And thank you. And again, sorry for being late. I hope I could conclude it in 10 minutes. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Burcu. Burcu.
It is Burcu, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It was really great. So we got less than normally we have to let for the next session, but maybe I see one question from Tatiana. So is the game available online? Burcu, it looks great.
Yeah, somehow I would say not all of it, but we shared it in our website, but it's in Turkish now. We are now trying to make it in also English. Yeah, we will publish something soon, I hope. And I will let you know for sure.
Yeah, it looks super.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that the process is like, when I was seeing yours, I was like, oh, that looks exactly like ours, like join all of this, and just using different words for it. But it was really interesting. How many people, like, I guess it's really hard to say how many people like got engaged, but like to get people to come to those meetings, did you mostly just kind of, were you in the street, or did you also do advertising, or like putting posters up and as well?
Yeah,
or...
we did everything. The first one is like we opened this stands in local bazaar. It was really effective. We met a lot of people over there, like passersby and like this all of the consumers or whatever. And also we hanged some posters in the high spots of the neighborhood. And for the youth, we try to reach them via social media, but whereas for the elder people, it's not possible. And there are mostly elder people in this community, I would say. So local bazaar was a really nice idea. And also this neighborhood festival, it created some attention. So through that kind of means, we try to reach. And it all changed during the process. It's not that we planned, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks a lot. Of course, I would have many questions to every one of you, especially about the right to the city with Henri Lefebvre. I think as well, that Burcu, what you presented is really connected to some experiments we did as well in France, another context in the suburbs of Paris with a non-profit organization called Appui, for which I was working for more than 5 years, and I think I can see many connections, and I was really curious about your work in Ankara. So, because we don't have time, this Tichos, unfortunately, we have to let the place for the next session. But because you also, I sent you a mail, so you got the mail of every panelist, at least people from the panelists. So maybe we can continue to exchange to references, some also online products. Also, I saw Adonis and Anastasia that you talked about catalog, and I'm really interested for this publication. So we can share some links, some references, and keep in contact. And maybe everyone that is interested from the audience as well, of course, feel free to to get connected, to contact all the panelists. Unfortunately, we got to stop now the session, but I hope that in the future we can go on exchanging. Thank you very much. And finally, we did it, even with some delay. I'm sorry as well, because sometimes we don't think about the different clock and okay, but finally we did it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope you will enjoy also the next days of the conference, because so we got a full program this Saturday, but also because we never stop tomorrow on Sundays. So I hope you will enjoy this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.